Oh boy. So I woke up this morning feeling very grateful for nothing, thankful for nothing. It sounds so funny, but the truth is nothing is actually a thing every time you investigate it. I'll explain. So this video might be something that some people just get triggered by, honestly. You know, if they don't understand this concept, okay, do you your own, you know, of course. Do what you gotta do. Whatever you gotta do is yours, fine, do it, okay. Now the truth about nothing is that there's no such thing, in our experience of life at least. Attempt this simple experiment. Try to do nothing. If you have any conscious awareness of your existence, you will know that you're still always doing something, at least to the point or during your life, you know? Now the application of doing nothing, the benefits of doing nothing, is that you become a recipient of life instead of a active demonstrator of life, you know? Instead of creating with what you're experiencing, you can listen, right? And throughout the past few years, you know, people, parents, societal structures, schools, they always told me that I had to do something. And I always followed the heart inside myself because I felt that to be more true than somebody else's word, because I believed that their word is for their own existence, based upon their own history, based upon their own actions, their own karma, you know. Now, we may have met out of the karmic relationship of life, and therefore I do respect everybody's word, and I listen, you know. But I listen to the collective nature, or at least the most collective nature that I can experience within and of and around myself. So I listened to the people. I went to school. I went to college. I went to, you know, I tried to get these basic bullshit jobs that people did. I even got a basic job, you know, at one point. Never felt true to myself. And I look at that to be a general respect for the nature of life. You know, if there is a truth inside yourself where your feelings feel that the ease of your life, the grace in your life is not to take this blocky square pathway, but to take this rather unknown pathway, or more unknown, at least in this society. And I think a lot throughout most of time, you know, taking that chance and doing the thing that isn't normal. So nothingness, observing the nothingness and being a recipient to the actual truth of existence, that there is no such thing as nothingness. But if you respect a lowering of your activities, of your intention to be active, and instead put that energy into the intention to be a recipient of the senses of your life, there's a great value in it, in seeing your pathway, you know, in seeing the feelings, the directions. You know, it's almost as if when we are attentive to the forces in our life, the senses, right? That's what this is. We're experiencing forces, changes in emotion. And I mean that in terms of the motion of energy. Fuck, man. I don't know where I was going with that. I had this, like, channel that was like, here's the bridge. Shit, well. I just woke up. I was just feeling so thankful for nothing. And I was like, that's a hilarious video title that only the truly curious and openly curious will invite into their life. And that's what I work for. That's a big group that I work for. I work for the people that are curiously open enough to take a chance and follow the truth inside themselves. You know, that's where the unique beauty is. You know, don't you see that? That if you listen to yourself you will be natural. You will be natural. It's essentially collectively true. If you do your best to listen to the nature and to the constant bombardment of senses that happen, both consciously and mostly actually unconsciously, I want to talk about that. As you experience life, consider this. Your thought is like a video, while your experience of life is like the sound, the textures, the flavors, the smells, the intuitive incorporation of nature around us somehow that just exists, that intuitive flow. The flow state, the recognition and connection to the easy path. And I say that with respect to ease, and not that it's going to be easy or difficult, because truly following ease or following discipline sometimes to respect your nature, if it tells you to go somewhere, to actually discipline yourself in such a way where you take the step out of great respect for your own uniqueness. That's required, and that is a challenge, and that is something not many people do. Not many people respect that as a challenge. Not many people see that following your nature, to some it may seem like it's, I don't know, I think looking at myself, reflecting upon myself, in this time in my life, I've been graced gratefully with the opportunity to live in a free housing situation, where my girlfriend and I can save up and practice and create our future. I mean, literally, we're experiencing this as a college state, a state of preparation for the rest of our life, a state where, in this time, I can listen to life. I can, in essential nature of the word, I can do nothing and learn about the tendencies of my nature such that I will be able to further learn what is needed in my life, what is not, and without ever taking the chance, without ever asking the question, you're never going to know. And without ever giving yourself the opportunity of doing nothing. Again, if you're always under the direction of another person, maybe that's your preference, and that's great. Do that, absolutely. Do that to the best of your ability. If your nature is to be a workhorse, if your nature is to be someone who's taking the orders of somebody else, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That's not me. I can't do that all the time. Maybe that's your life, and it's beautiful. I absolutely respect that as complete beauty if it's in your nature. However, if you're a creator like myself, I feel this deeply in my whole existence. You need the space and time to know what you need to do in your space and time. If you don't ever have space and time, if you don't ever have nothing to do, you're never going to know how to use your time and your space. And so I am so grateful to have the ability to choose what my day is like. And I don't choose this in a mental state, you guys. This is not how I've gotten to this point. I've not mentally schemed out and thought like, it would be nice to have this time. It would be this and that, like thinking, scheming, oh, I could do the X, Y, and Z with this. It's never been like that. I didn't get here by mentally figuring it out. I mean, some things make sense mentally, of course, and so do it. When it's senseful, it's part of the collective sense then, isn't it? What I've been doing to get to this position in my life is following the nature of my existence. I feel that everybody in nature has a position. The trees that are existing, whether very close to one another or sporadic, they still exist. They take their different forms. Too close to each other might grow on only one half of their own potential, but they still exist, of the potential nature of a whole tree, in its own field, whatever, right? That would grow to be the spherical object, but two next to each other might be half spheres, but next to each other, with a great respect to their own natures, that in their position and in their time, this is what they have. They have this one, they have this one, and that's what they have. They have that space up in the sky and that space up in the air, sky, whatever. So I believe you will be able to fit. Now this might be a squeeze. Just like that nature squeezes of the tree, squeezes next to each other in the air. Your own nature might be a very tight, very, 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 almost sometimes scary if you think about it. It might be such a tight fit in the system. You might have to throw yourself 2,000 miles away to find that next puzzle piece. But in my experience, directly, literally, from then to now, I've been guided by my own nature, by my own senses, and put into these, what seem to be perfect puzzle pieces for me to fit in the times being, to learn the most about myself, to then further give everything I know about myself, everything I know about the experience of being a human. That's really what it is. That connects us all. That's valuable to anybody who's willing to just observe. Because what I'm expressing is just based on observation. If you take a minute to observe for your own self, through the mechanisms of your whole self, and not just your mind is a maze. A mind can do anything. If a baby had a mind, it could be a serial killer, instantly. But it doesn't. It's living with its senses. Its mind is not developed. It's just living with its senses, and we call that beautiful. We call it natural. We call it that childish glow, you know. And that's a part of nature. That's part of the human nature. It's not just a part of children, you know. It's part of the human nature. You don't have to become this advanced mind, and you don't have to think that that's what life is, that we just come to this mind and we have to use it like a calculator, like a computer, truly. Maybe that's why people are seeming to be more robotic nowadays, is because we've been using this calculator all the time instead of being in the ebbs and flows of the fluid nature that exists. You know, fluidity, the feminine energy, is something that I think a lot of people are afraid of. And this might show in society nowadays. You know, there's this feminine rise once again that's just like, you know, we need to be respected. We need to be respected. I don't think a lot of people even understand what it is that needs to be respected about the feminine nature. It's hard to grasp, and that's like the scary thing about it, is when you grasp it, it falls through your hands, you know. And that is the feminine. It's that fluid change, that structure. Of existence itself is flavorized by the feminine, you know, existence. Structure is easy. Structure is just a matter of poking it and saying, look, there's this thing here. But how that's kind of more feminine, is this, I don't know, the process. So yeah, anyone, out of every video that I've made, it's been from observation. I don't like read books and regurgitate people's information. That might be part of my observation sometimes. Like if I see a line of text and it's a quote from somebody and I'm like, I see how that connects. I see how that relates to me. I see how that might relate to other people. But the truth is in the actual existence, you know. And everybody exists somehow, in some way, in some reality, from some focal point, from some perspective, from some here, now. It's everybody. And I think a bridge can be made between people who respect that, you know, no matter where they're from. And to conclude, observing what seems to be like nothingness is a place for a reception of life itself, the entirety. If you were able to shut off everything mentally and see everything in your experience as an equal playing ground, you will feel every little ripple in your lake, so to speak. You'll feel every little ripple, even way across the lake. You'll know how that ripple way across the lake is from that one wave that came from you, 20 seconds ago, and now it's way over there. You will see the vast and experience. It might be through the eyes in your imagination. It might be through your nose in some random smell-connected memory, or it might be through your senses, your physical touch somehow. Or it might be a combination of all of the things swirling about almost psychedelically, That's something that psychedelics helped me realize, is that the flow and the experience of life is a collection all the time. It's a collection and a combination of many senses at the same time. And that's why a lot of people, I think, have challenges in observing the flow of life, because it's not easy. This is another thing that's a big misconception, that it's just easy to sit here. It's not. Or that it's just easy to know. And it's not, It takes a lot of time. You learn just like any other thing, just like any other practice. And the value of nothing, it's funny. It's kind of like a paradox. There's no such thing. But we use it. We use it. And this is like the root of music, really is, to listen. Life is a musical. The car engines rev in certain intervals, all relating to previous intervals somewhere else down the street, and other intervals on the other corner, and the trains that pass every now and again. And technically, molecularly, if you think of it down to the physical nature of existence, every single atom is bumping into each other in some way, in some state. And therefore, technically, in at least some way, it is affecting the molecule next to it. Whether it's just a gravitational pull to the absolute minuscule amount imaginable, it is still something. And that came from somewhere, naturally. If the Big Bang was the beginning, to me it just makes sense that we're just a further chemistry concoction of recombining chemical units, getting more and more complex, more and more chaotic. I'm not entirely sure of the complex and chaotic thing, but it seems to me like chemistry is just taking its path with the physical nature that exists. I mean, chemistry really is just physics in a way. It's like an application of physics. Just listening, man. It's beautiful. Emotion might be kind of like acceleration, and I'll explain that in a different video. I'm gonna go to that one now. If you enjoyed this video, go check out the Patreon page and PayPal and whatever. Thank you so much. Do what you gotta do. Your nature is your nature, and I respect it gratefully and greatly. I love your nature. Just be your nature. That's all I want. If it's to do whatever you want to do, do whatever you want to do. Even if it's the worst thing imaginable, I don't care. Do it. For your own self. Nature will play out. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with nature living on. Alright? I'm going to make another video. It's great. It's a beautiful idea. Go check it out. Emotion and acceleration.